Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. I think this one it's important to actually look at their records. Normally, I normally do this, but I think with this one is actually particularly important because I think a lot of people are. Guys, I apologized. YouTube. Guys, I apologized. YouTube just decided to kick me out of my stream. I don't know why, but at least it allowed me to resume. So, Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz, right? I know I picked a trashy fighter, but let me explain, right? Ikram Aliskerov in the UFC has fought Robert Whittaker, quite impressive, but he lost via KO in the first round. Before that, he fought, what's his name? Let's see. Alvarez, I just want to Wally Alvarez. That's before Robert Whittaker, right? You can't think Wally Alvarez is a good opponent. I don't think there's anyone who thinks that's a good win. Before that, he fought what's his name? So, Phil Horse. Yes, he fought the Phil Horse, right? I feel like a lot of people are giving too much credit to the fact that Ikram Aliskerov only lost to Hamza Chimaev, right? Because for some reason, people are only remembering that, oh my God, Hamza Chimaev struggled to take this guy down, and then and then after that he got knocked out. They actually somehow forget that Hamza Chimaev actually knocked out Ikram Aliskerov, and we're talking about a Hamza Chimaev who didn't have polished striking at that time. We are talking about a Hamza Chimaev who didn't know how to control his gas tank, right? That's the Hamza Chimaev we're speaking about. And Hamza Chimaev knocked him out, right? I think a lot of people give credit to Ikram Aliskerov for losing to Hamza Chimaev, which is basically the Kobe Covington effect, right? I love Ikram Aliskerov, but for me personally, I'm not yet sold on Ikram Aliskerov. This might potentially age horribly for me. Like Ikram could go in the first round knockout and it's over. But like I said, Ikram Aliskerov has had 3 fights in the UFC. Number one, Phil Hawes. Number two, Wally Alvarez. Number three, knocked out by what do you call him, Robert Whittaker. I'm going to come to the breakdown of the fight, but before we get there, we have to look at records, just so that you can understand who has fought who and what level of fighter these people have fought. Right. So let's go to the can that people are saying I picked. Right. Andre Muniz. So let's look at Andre Muniz's record and who he has fought up until this point in his UFC career. So Andre Muniz beat, I don't know how to pronounce his name, John Young Park. That's a good win. That's a good win. In his previous fight, Andre Muniz beat John Young Park. That's a better win than Phil Hawes and Wally Alvarez combined, right? So for me personally, before we even go even further down, both Phil Hawes and Wally Alvarez combined but again, Jin Young Park is better than both of them combined. That's number one for me. Sure, he lost to Paul Craig. That's fine. That's a fair argument. Andre Muniz lost to Paul Craig. Fine. Before that, he lost to Brandon Allen. I mean, that's not too terrible. Brandon Allen is in the top 10 right now, even though he hasn't been performing that great, but he's in the top 10. So at least he lost to someone who's in the top 10. And then he beat, what do you call him? Let me actually check his name properly before I make any mistakes. Uriah Hall, yeah. Before that, he beat Uriah Hall, right? and he beat him via decision. Okay, via decision. And before that, he beat Anders. Um, let me see. Eric Anders, yes, he beat Eric Anders. And before that, he beat Jacare Souza. For me personally, when I look at who both of them have fought, I mean, the names I'm mentioning for me, I don't even need to go any further down. Um, yeah, I don't need to even go any further down because the names don't make any sense as you go further down. But for me personally, the fact that you beat Jacare Souza, even though maybe Souza was late in his career, that's fine. You can make that argument. He beat Anders, Eric Anders. You can make the argument that he was late in his career as well. That's fine. You can even Uriah Hall. You can make the argument that he was late in his career. Losing to Brendan Allen is not too bad. He's ranked in the top 10. He lost to Paul Craig. Sure, Paul Craig will find you with a submission. Oh no, it was actually a TKO, but still, Paul Craig might not be the greatest fighter, but he submitted a former light heavyweight champion in Jamal Hill, and I think he beat Magomed Ankalaev, didn't he? I think he beat Magomed Ankalaev. So losing to Paul Craig, I mean, he's beating people who went on to become champions. So losing to Paul Craig is not like a bad thing because I think Magomed Ankalaev lost to Paul Craig. I think yeah, Jamal Hill lost to Paul Craig. So losing to Paul Craig is not a bad thing. So even though Andre Muniz lost to Paul Craig, it's still not too bad for me. And then he beat John Young Park in his last fight. When was this? Even though it was a split decision, it was in 2023. Okay, he hasn't been that active. It's been over a year now since he was last active. So for me personally, when we look at um, well, still, I mean, when we look at the strength of schedule, right? When we look at strength of schedule, for me personally, I think this is the argument that I like to make whenever people say someone looks good outside the rankings or in the regional scene. Ikram Aliskerov was fighting people like Phil Hawes, um, Wally Alvarez. That's why he knocked them out, right? It makes sense that he should have knocked them out. Phil Hawes gets knocked out by even a feather blowing in the wind. Like if it just lands, it's going to knock him out. Wally Alvarez is not the greatest fighter in the UFC. So for me to say, well, he had a good performance against these fighters, and even the fight with Wally Alvarez was a little bit tricky for me because Wally Alvarez was landing, right? So for me, it's kind of difficult to give any credit or weight to actually beating Phil Hawes and Wally Alvarez, right? Because in that particular sense, then it means everyone who looks good in the regional scene can potentially become a champion, right? In the UFC, that's the logic. Because for me personally, beating those two is more or less the same as beating people in the regional scene. Well, maybe obviously higher level competition. Um, yeah, if it okay. In and out just made the argument. I'm going to respond to everyone, but this comment I think is relevant. I don't even know if um Phil, what do you call him? Phil Hawes actually beat Imavov. I mean, at one point Phil Hawes was a touted prospect, right? I can't confirm. I can't remember actually Phil Hawes beating Imavov, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened because at some point Phil Hawes was one of the most touted prospects. We thought this was going to be a champion, but still, for me, I'm not going to raid a Phil Hawes win, and especially a tricky Wally Alvarez win. Even if he ended up finishing him, for me, it's not that impressive, to be honest. So I think a lot of people are giving too much credit to Ikram Aliskerov for losing to Hamza Chimaev early in his career. We're not talking about the current Hamza. The current Hamza would just run through him in a matter of seconds. or maybe 2 minutes at most, right? That Hamza that he fought in the regional scene. Okay, no, he didn't. Okay, maybe I should check these things because I get some of these people will troll me, and because I can't waste time checking all these things right now. Um, then okay, thank you, Shoshot McGee. But still, I think a lot of people are giving too much credit to Ikram Aliskerov for losing to Hamza Chimaev. I'm not going to make that mistake. Beating someone like Jun Young Park for me is more impressive than beating Phil Haas and Wally Alvarez combined. If you want to give your 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 decision or impression of who is going to win based off of this guy beat this particular guy, um, for me personally it doesn't really work. So let's get down to the actually breaking down the entire fight. Ikram Aliskerov throws probably, I don't know, 5 times more than Andre Muniz. That honestly worries me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But Ikram Aliskerov has a horrible striking defense. Wally Alvarez was having success at some points in that particular fight. That's why I keep saying that fight was a little bit tricky up until he got the knockout, right? Ikram Aliskerov has horrible striking defense, and Andre Muniz has pretty decent striking defense. To be honest, Andre Muniz doesn't get hit that much. Obviously, it's because of his wrestling abilities, but he doesn't get hit that much. And people, I feel like people call him a can too much for losing to Paul Craig and Brandon Allen. It's not like he's busy losing to everyone. Like, and I will repeat this again. Sure, he lost to Brandon Allen, ranked in the top 10 currently. He lost to Paul Craig. Paul Craig beat the people who went on to become champions in light heavyweight division. Magomed Ankalaev and what do you call him? Jamal Hill. So for me personally, that's not those are not bad losses in my own opinion. It's better than winning against Phil Hausen and Wally Alvarez. So as far as defense, I lean slightly towards Andre Muniz. I could be wrong. Um, the what do you call him? Ikram's volume combined with what do you call it? Combined with his knockout ability might make some type of a difference. But I'm going to stick with Andre Muniz to be honest. My subscribers are going with Ikram Aliskerov. I think Andre Muniz has fought better competition, is better defensively. As far as striking goes, obviously offensively, Ikram Aliskerov is going to be better. I think I could see a situation where Andre Muniz maybe tries to take the fight to the ground successfully. Um, I mean, it's not like Ikram Aliskerov doesn't have a ground game. I'm not saying that, but I think it's gonna be a little bit tricky for Ikram to actually win this fight if he even ends up winning this fight, of which I currently doubt because I think a lot of people are giving him too much credit for losing to Hamza Chimaev. So yeah, my official pick Andre Muniz. I think I made my point. My subscribers are going with Ikram Aliskerov. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. If you're just joining me, you can always look through the you can always look through the live section of the channel and rewatch all the streams that I just made. I love and appreciate all of you. Until next time, see you tomorrow when I break down other 3 fights on this card. Deuces.